Coming up, a Joplin man will go to federal prison for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. Plus, another warm day in the 4 states before a cold front moves through this weekend. We'll have your latest forecast. Also, Missouri takes a shot at making archery its state sport.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll have those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go ahead and pop up your 7-day forecast and take a look at what we've got for you. These days are actually inaccurate. We're going to be hitting 87 for the high today, and then a cold front moves through with a little bit cooler temperatures for the weekend as a cold front and chances of rain move in again tonight. To our top story today, Joplin police released surveillance images of the suspect's car used in a shooting that happened shortly after 6 p.m. on Monday. Police say this vehicle, believed to be a black Ford Taurus SHO, was apparently driven by a person involved in a shooting at 5th and Connor in Joplin. Authorities say it has a distinctive exhaust system and wheels. Person has not yet been identified. Police say 46-year-old Kenneth Matthews of Joplin was killed in that shooting. A second victim remains in the hospital in critical condition. If you have any information about the shooting or vehicle, you are asked to contact police. A Joplin man will receive federal time for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. This past November, Jason Russell pled guilty to 1 count of participating in conspiracy to distribute meth in Newton County. Multiple law enforcement agencies had been investigating him since 2019. Officials pulled him over on I-44 and then arrested him when they found about 2 pounds of meth in his truck. Russell is sentenced to just over 24 years in federal prison without parole. A disputed Joplin City Council seat will not be changing hands. Council candidate Brian Evans last month called for a recount after he lost his race in the April 5th election by only 13 votes to the closest winner, Josh Datar. On Thursday, Jasper and Newton counties conducted the recount. The numbers in Newton County did not change, but in Jasper County, the recount shows Datar won by an additional 5 votes, making his victory by a margin of 18 votes. Officials say this is the first recount in Jasper County in nearly 20 years. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announces steps to ease the burden on Kansas families affected by the nationwide baby formula shortage. State agencies are working with federal counterparts to expedite relief and cut red tape. The Kansas Department of Health and Environment has implemented a series of waivers to make more formula products available to families in Kansas who are using the WIC program. Officials also say the agency is working to better inform the public of possible formula alternatives. Kansas Republican Attorney General debate squares off in Pittsburgh on Thursday. Candidates in attendance were Chris Kobach, Kelly Warren, and Tony Mativi. The debate was open to the public. Subjects in the debate range from private property rights to guns and immigration. Missouri lawmakers take aim at giving final approval to designating archery as the official state sport. Archery is one of the oldest sports in the world. Here in the 4 states, some local teams have gone on to win national titles. Those who take pride in the sport say it's nice to finally be recognized.
I think that them choosing archery as a state sport was a great decision because, one, it's very popular in the state of Missouri now. It's the oldest sport to humankind, but also it helps self-discipline, it helps focus.
The legislation is awaiting Governor Parsons' approval. Later in the show, our very own Bronte Sorotsky brings us more on this story. Sometimes it takes kids to help other kids, and members of the National Honor Society at McDonald County High School donated $1,100 to Children's Miracle Network. Students organized a color run last month for Nora Beechner, a child who has a rare disease that needs ongoing treatment. Nora is the 5-year-old daughter of the school's counselor. CMN representatives say the money will go a long way to helping kids in the area. It's time to recognize those lovable canines you may have adopted into your life. Today is National Rescue Dog Day. According to the ASPCA, nearly 3.5 million dogs enter shelters every year. Many are abandoned and abused and must overcome extreme obstacles. Yet they're able to provide comfort, security, and friendship as family pets. And they can help people with disabilities become independent and give comfort to the elderly. As emotional support companions, they can also help relieve anxiety, depression, and PTSD. Even if you haven't adopted a rescue dog, you can volunteer at your local shelter or make a financial donation. You could also foster a dog to help prepare them for adoption. And of course, don't forget to give your rescue dog a treat, because they're a good boy and they've earned it. All right, here's a quick check of your 7-day forecast. Temperatures should get back up into the upper 80s, and yes, that humidity will remain, making it feel well over 90 degrees outside today. And then we've got chances of rain overnight and into the morning hours. That will bring us a little bit cooler temperatures for the weekend and into next week. We'll have more on your forecast later in the show. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Colgan Panthers find themselves in familiar territory, bound for state championship. Do they have what it takes to bring home a third consecutive trophy? We'll find out. Plus, the COVID pandemic changed the work model for many employers, and now those massive office complexes have become ghost towns. And the CDC is investigating cases of monkeypox that have begun to appear in the United States. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Colgan Panthers are back in the state softball tournament. The Panthers will play in the 2A state bracket starting next Thursday, looking to bring back their third consecutive state championship. Colgan earned their spot at state by winning a regional championship on Tuesday. The Panthers are 11-12 overall heading into state, but really that's a little misleading. They're the smallest school in the CNC, and they played powerhouse teams like Girard, Columbus, and Frontenac in their regular season. So it was tough all spring, but it's prepared them for what they want to do next weekend.
Our league this year really prepared us for our regionals, and we knew that we'd have a couple hard teams we had to get through, and we had our job to get done, and we did it. Every team this year in our league was good and good competition, so I'd rather get beat a couple times during the season and go compete at state.
The postseason's always exciting, and it's always something that we look forward to, and this week is so fun to just like really hone our skills and work on the little things that we know we're going to need when we get there.
Crowder College hosts a celebration and send-off for the school's softball team. The Rough Riders will head to Yuma, Arizona on Saturday for the Junior College National Tournament. Crowder is 53-8 overall heading into nationals. They're making their 11th all-time appearance in the tournament and first since 2013.
We know we can compete at any level. We play the toughest, hardest, largest schedule in the country every single year. And so when it comes down to the year end, if we can get to the postseason, we know that we can accept the challenge and meet the challenge at any given point.
Seeing the community here today, I think it's going to help us boost our confidence and know what we're going down there for. We're going down there to win and represent Crowder. I feel like we have something to prove, and going to nationals and winning a few games, I think it'd be something great.
And we have a pair of local college baseball players earning all Central Region honors. For Pittsburgh State, first baseman Garrett Mcgowan is a first-team all-region selection. He did a bit of everything for the Gorillas this spring. Mcgowan led the team with a .399 average, hitting 20 doubles, 18 home runs, and driving in 79 runs on the year. He also had a perfect fielding percentage at first base, earning all MIAA Gold Glove honors. Mcgowan now advances to the national ballot for All-American consideration. For Missouri Southern, starting pitcher Logan Van Wy is a second-team All-Region pick. Webb City product went 7-3 for the Lions and led the MIAA in strikeouts this season with 123. He threw 2 shutouts and held opponents to just 199 batting average for the Lions. Impressive. High school baseball, Aurora and Mount Vernon meet in the Class 4 District 11 Championship. The winner moves on to the Class 4 sectional round, and that winner is Aurora. The final score, 8-0. Hoondogs move on to face Summit Christian in the state sectional round on Tuesday. Well, still to come, North Korea has reported over 2 million fever cases since late April. We take a look. Plus, a check of the 7-day forecast from the KOAM Morning News returns.
Live look over 7th and Rangeline as we find ourselves about a quarter past the 5 o'clock hour. 76 degrees right now. The wind has really picked up, gusting at 35 miles per hour. at Joplin Regional Airport. At least it's coming in from the south, a very warm morning. As a matter of fact, we've been talking about temperatures that have been down in the low 60s for the most part the entire work week. Now we're talking about already being in the 70s, an indicator that not only the warm temperatures are here, but the humidity from what we had yesterday afternoon is here to stay. You'll notice the cold front, top left-hand portion of your screen, that's going to hang up there to the northwest. We're going to be in these mid to high 70s for the morning hours, and then after sunrise at about 6:05, then we begin our jaunt up into the 80s. Now we will have some increased cloud cover that'll temper that just a tad, so we won't have to worry about working up into the high 80s or anything like that. So clouds are going to help a little bit. But other thing too, blustery to the point where we may end up with some elevated fire concerns. That's something we haven't talked about in quite some time. So the humidity actually may be a little beneficial from keeping us way too dry. And you'll notice there, look at Wichita. Notice the swirl right there? Well, that's exactly where that cold front is as well. So we get the southerly flow. We're waiting on our cold front. Remember, that'll be here for the weekend. Let's put Future Track into motion. Take a look at what we've got for today. As we will stay on the dry side, anything that we do see this afternoon is going to be spotty. It'll amount to sprinkles as those clouds begin to grow, and then just kind of dive off out to the east. Now, as we get into tonight/Saturday morning, that's when it comes up from the south. So we will have a little thunderstorm activity with thunder and lightning down in our southern counties throughout northeast Oklahoma and southern southwest Missouri. And then we begin to build through southwest Missouri. If you're out to the west and southeast Kansas, up to the north, you're going to stay on the dry side. That will not be the case for the central, south, and eastern portions. Then as that thing begins to grow and into Saturday, temperatures still not too bad, but after that, that cold front does drop in from the northwest. And what it does, dropping us down to the 60s there for Sunday and Monday. Mild temperatures next week, but you'll also notice the key factor for next week is going to be the amount of rain that we pick up. We're already looking at it being anywhere from about 5 to 7 inches over our normal average. And when we talk about compared to last year, if you remember right, especially during the course of March, we talked about historic rainfall. Well, we're not quite there yet, but believe it or not, we have actually picked up more rain this year than what we did throughout 2021. In some parts of the country, employees working from home, perhaps hybrid schedules, and that has some companies leaving behind sprawling corporate campuses. Well, that's the subject of our Something to Talk About this morning on the KOAM News Now Instapoll and the KOAM News Now Facebook page. Well, in one city, the issue is especially notable due to what's called corporate office parks. Anthony Ponce has more on what may happen to these empty buildings.
Spanning dozens of acres, some as big as college campuses, there's just one problem with Chicagoland's corporate office parks.
Frankly, they're functionally obsolete for the most part.
In the age of work from home and with many employers offering hybrid work models, companies are now putting these aging giants up for sale and are starting to get bites. Baxter International, the latest local company to announce it's putting its 100-acre Deerfield campus on the market.
For the most part, they're old and they're really outmoded. They don't have the kinds of amenities that companies and employees want today.
So what's to become of these sprawling corporate estates? Dan Deuter with Cushman & Wakefield says they're typically going one of three routes: torn down and converted to industrial space like warehouse facilities, divided up among multiple commercial tenants, or serve a mixed use. McDonald's Old Oakbrook campus, for example, is now a mix between hotel, multifamily residential, and, as just announced earlier this month, the future headquarters of Ace Hardware.
We're seeing kind of renewed interest in these suburban corporate campuses, but it's not necessarily all for one thing. It's a few different things.
Despite describing these types of corporate campuses as functionally obsolete for the most part, Deuter says the fact that many of them are right now in the process of changing hands is not necessarily a bad thing.
There's two ways for the market to get healthy again: is either supply goes down, demand goes up, and we're seeing both happening. So with that will come a recovery in the office market. So this is healthy.
Our question for you this morning: do you prefer to work at home, a place of employment, or perhaps you prefer a hybrid. A couple of places to make your choice heard. You can go directly to the poll at koamnewsnow.com/vote or connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. We will be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, officials at the CDC are closely tracking possible cases of monkeypox. In the United States, 6 people are officially being monitored for possible monkeypox infections. This after they sat near an infected traveler who had symptoms while on a flight from Nigeria in early May. So far, the 6 are all healthy with no symptoms. CDC officials are also investigating a case of confirmed monkeypox in a Massachusetts man. He had recently traveled to Canada. CDC says monkeypox is rare outside of West or Central Africa and that Americans, quote, should not be concerned. Well, some news for parents with small children. A top health panel is recommending kids 5 to 11 get a COVID booster. Comes as the pandemic is rearing its ugly head once again. Nikki Batiste has the details.
COVID concern skyrocketing. Nationwide, hospitalizations are on the rise in 40 states. Cases are up in 41 states.
The reality is much worse because we're undercounting COVID cases. Many people are testing at home, using at-home rapid tests, and many people are not testing at all.
There's also deepening concern among parents. The American Academy of Pediatrics reports that cases among kids have climbed 76% in the past 2 weeks. Late today, a CDC scientific panel voted to recommend a 3rd dose of the Pfizer vaccine for children ages 5 to 11, even though only 28% in that age group have gotten their first 2 doses.
This current wave of infections among kids could well land a lot of kids in the hospital.
In Connecticut, COVID cases are up nearly 118% in the past month. That's where Bridget Touchard is raising 2 young immunocompromised kids. Both 5-year-old Teddy and 3-year-old Liza have type 1 diabetes.
Vaccine is so important to us because it's basically another tool, another weapon in our arsenal to keep them safe. It's been wildly stressful, the way that I think all parents are dealing with the unknown that is doubled or maybe even tripled for us.
Her son got his 2nd dose last month, just before his 5th birthday.
Do you feel like parents are only thinking about their own child?
I do. The vaccine really does save lives and protect lives.
CDC panel recommends kids ages 5 to 11 to get their Pfizer booster at least 5 months after their 2nd dose. FDA has said a vaccine for kids under 5 could receive emergency use authorization in June. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Already picking up a little traffic over 7th and Rangeline. People out and about very early this morning. Look at our daily almanac for this May the 20th. And that would put our record high dating back to 1956, all the way up to 92 degrees. We certainly will not get close to that. As a matter of fact, despite that we're sitting a whole bunch of mid-70s right now, you would think that this would be prime conditions to go ahead and break a record. We're actually going to have increased cloud cover, and it's going to slow us down somewhat. One thing that will not slow down, that is going to be the wind. That is why right now we sit in the mid-70s, even seeing some high 70s, if you will, throughout portions of southeast Kansas, where it's 77 in Parson, Chanute, Neodesha, and 76 in Lamar and Carthage with Joplin sitting right there behind it. Speaking of the wind, as we move in throughout the course of our day, we're going to go ahead and throw up a wind advisory that's going to last. We'll do the wind advisory first, then we'll do the flood warnings. Wind advisory there that's going to last until the noon hour. So it is going to be a tad bit blustery, and it's really kind of just a reminder, if you have a high profile vehicle and you're traveling east and west, take Highway 400, take Highway 126, even 44. For instance, just know that you're going to get knocked a little side to side every now and then. And of course, it's no surprise that we have flood warnings for the Osage and Little Osage rivers coming off of all the rain that we've picked up this week. Still keeping our eyes on the Neosho. For those of you that live on the south end of the Neosho River, remember, it always takes, you all know this, I guess, a friendly reminder for everybody else. It always takes a couple days for that water to feed down from the north. Temperatures today, we're going to go into the mid 80s. Like I said, building cloud cover. Sporadic rainfall that we will see. It's not going to be anything organized or severe. It kind of takes us from Friday night into Saturday. And then Saturday night, that's when the cold front arrives with additional thunderstorm activity. Back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, a Joplin man will go to federal prison for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine.
Got a windy one today. In fact, a wind advisory is already in effect. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Missouri takes a shot at making archery its state sport.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Already picking up Gust, Tanya, in excess of 30 miles per hour at Joplin Regional Airport. Yeah, at least we're dry, right? It's the first time this week we haven't started the KOAM Morning News talking about thunderstorm activity, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. But there we are, our latest gust at 35 miles per hour at Joplin Regional Airport. And that 24 that you see, remember, that's sustained. It's just after you get one of the gusts, sustained at 24 miles per hour. Now, since it works in from the south, I tell you what, it is hard to beat temperatures like it. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just bottle that and ride it all the way through the afternoon and evening hours and just kind of keep it hanging around? I think they call that place San Diego. Is what happens when you wake up and it's in the mid 70s and you go to sleep, it's in the mid 70s. But no, let's sit back and enjoy it because it is delightful. Now, with that being said, remember, if you high profile vehicles, I know that's the disclaimer we always use when we talk about having a wind advisory, high profile vehicles traveling east and west. Just need you to be careful out there. And I know you're not going to avoid your travel. Just please be careful because that is going to kind of blow you side to side. Also, too, we have flood warnings for the Osage and the Little Osage rivers, a result of all the rain that we received for the past couple of days, those lasting into the weekend. Speaking of the weekend, as we head towards Saturday, we get a little overnight sporadic rainfall, not looking at anything severe. I think thunder and lightning is going to be very, very limited, especially when you compare it to what we've had past couple of days. But then remember, Saturday night, we've got another batch that rolls in, and this one has the cooler air behind it. As a matter of fact, we'll have a definitive chill in the air for Saturday night and Sunday night as well, and even our daily highs for Sunday and Monday. Pretty low compared to what we have had. Take about 20 degrees off from those 80s that we've been rolling.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to that drop in the temperatures. That's going to be really nice, and it will be.
If you're looking,
would be nice to have a day of dry.
It will be nice to have a dry day, but if you're looking forward to that drop in temperatures, I'm not kidding you, because we've been talking about being able to, give the AC a break. It's going to be pretty chilly to even have the windows open when you look at Saturday night and Sunday night. The
question is, are we going to lose enough humidity to want to open the windows, though?
Yes. Humidity will not be a factor when that cold front rolls in. It is a large, dry air mass coming in out of Canada.
I will take that.
Canadians.
Thank you, Canada.
Whoa, you did not just say that.
I don't say it often.
Those would be fighting words if I felt any better, I promise you.
Thank you, Jordan Abbey.
I knew he would come into play when we talk Canada.
All right, we love you, Jordan. All right, thanks, Michael. Joplin police released surveillance images of the suspect's car used in a shooting that happened shortly after 6 p.m. on Monday. Police say this vehicle, believed to be a black Ford Taurus SHO, was apparently driven by a person involved in a shooting at 5th and Connor in Joplin. Authorities say it has a distinctive exhaust system and wheels. The person has not yet been identified. And police say 46-year-old Kenneth Matthews of Joplin was killed in that shooting. The second victim remains in the hospital in critical condition. If you have any information about the shooting or the vehicle, you are asked to contact police. Joplin man will receive federal time for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. This past November, Jason Russell pled guilty to 1 count of participating in a conspiracy to distribute meth in Newton County. Multiple law enforcement agencies had been investigating him since 2019. Officials pulled him over on I-44 and then arrested him when they found about 2 pounds of meth in his truck. Russell was sentenced just over 24 years in federal prison without parole. Missouri lawmakers give final approval designating archery as the official state sport for local teams like Sarcoxie High School. The recognition is something they've been waiting for a while now. KOAM's Bronte Saratsky has more.
Archery is set to become the state sport of Missouri, and archery students in Sarcoxie say they feel their hard work is finally being recognized.
Some of us work our butts off to be where we are.
Sarcoxie High School's archery team is riding high and coming off of a win, and they say this recognition couldn't have come at a better time.
We just came back from the Western National Championship where we did win first place in both the bullseye and the 3D competitions. So there's a lot of recognition there, but the fact that it is now the state sport is going to be recognized all over the state of Missouri, and I'm very happy about that.
The recognition is something Ian Morris, a Sarcoxie junior, says he'd like to see more of.
We get recognized for what we do, but we don't get fully recognized.
Morris says he hopes this new legislation will give their team better representation.
Well, at the senior awards, archery wasn't recognized as a sport at all, right? So we get congratulated, but we don't get represented.
Sarcoxie coach Keisha Woolsey says she hopes this recognition will have a wider impact on how the sport is perceived in the Show Me state.
I hope that people will really see that archery truly is a sport. Some people don't recognize it as a sport, and I hope that this will help them recognize. I think that them choosing archery as a state sport was a great decision because, one, it's very popular in the state of Missouri now. It's the oldest sport to humankind, but also it helps self-discipline, it helps focus.
As the sport continues to grow throughout Missouri, archers say they're excited about the new acknowledgement. In Sarcoxie, Bronte Saratsky, KOAM News.
The legislation is awaiting Governor Parsons' approval. People came out to the streets of downtown Joplin for Third Thursday last night. And with every Third Thursday, there was food, activities, and for this month, Third Thursday held the Big Bike Bash. This event gave anyone the chance to show off their bikes, take part in a bike decorating contest. They also had the opportunity to participate in the Spokes Parade.
It's just a sense of community. Everybody kind of come down and to show off their business, show off what their crafts, what they make, and just really for a good event for the community to have a good time and to enjoy their company.
Third Thursday is always a blast, and Third Thursday is a 3-hour event every third Thursday of the month from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Here's Michael with a look at your forecast.
All right, 7-day forecast with highs in the mid to high 80s. Today, not going to be too bad. Sporadic rainfall for later tonight. It's nothing organized. After what we've been through this week, it's going to look rather mundane. Any rain that we do pick up, mild temperatures on Saturday, and then cooler temperatures on Sunday. Now today it's going to be a little hot, humid, and hazy. But then as we work through Saturday and Sunday, Tanya brought up a great question here just a little bit ago. She was asking about the humidity. What role is the humidity going to play? And as our temperatures cool off, we will find that air mass that moves in is much, much drier.
All right, this morning we're discussing where you work. Companies around the world find themselves at somewhat of a crossroads. Some have built sprawling office buildings, some the size of college campuses, to house all of their employees. And then COVID came along and changed everything. Right? These companies then found themselves working from the comfort of their own homes. And now these same sprawling office complexes exist as veritable ghost towns, devoid of employers or employees. As the pandemic makes the transition to endemic, companies question what to do next. When asked, many employees say they prefer working from home and can get the job done, but there's many good reasons for returning back to an office or employment setting, and some employers have even taken things in a more hybrid direction.
Can we please take that line, that paragraph? Incomparable producer Ron, if that is attributed to you, I will give you full credit. Then the pandemic came along and changed everything.
Yeah.
Because I think we could take that specific line and put it into so many stories and so many facets of our life.
Well, then you get like jobs like ours where like even if we're sick, we have to come to work.
I love you too. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I get you. Our question for you this morning, coming off of Tanya's story right there, is where do you prefer to work? Not where do you work, where do you prefer to work? And 3 options we have: at home, place of employment, or hybrid. And right now, Tanya, an overwhelming 72% go with place of employment, 28% say at home. We've yet to see anybody chime in and say hybrid. Of course, you can make your voice heard each and every morning. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote will take you directly to the poll. Or if you'd like to connect to us via our Facebook page, Stacy Strader actually helping me get back on Facebook yesterday. I made a concerted effort, yes. You can connect to us at KOAM News Now.
He came in the newsroom the other day and called me a Facebook troll, basically.
Wait, I think you are, but aren't you self-professed at that?
Well, maybe, but
that would be true.
For somebody who never gets on at all, and I was using it for research, you know?
You were, and folks, in all honesty, she was, number one, not only research, number two, it was completely work-related on a story that she was working on. And number 3, I believe I did start off our conversation yesterday with, "Hey, Facebook troll." You are correct. I think I did say that.
You know, I would like to see a poll. We've asked this poll before about where do you want to work, you know, home or at work, or do you want to go back to work? We never asked the question for those that work in a workplace that some of their coworkers work from home, like how that's going.
Well, you and I are perfect examples of that,
Yeah.
because we saw the world around us change, but for 2.5 years, we didn't.
But we're always asking the people that work from home whether they like it. We're not asking the people that work at work whether they like it that their coworkers are working from home.
I never thought about I never thought about it that way.
And how that's working out together.
I never thought about it that way.
Because there are some jobs where somebody's got to be in the building, you know. Somebody got to be there.
Go ahead, raise your hand. Yep. No, I would love to see that too. You're right.
All right. And that's where that conversation ends. All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, as Russia ramps up its campaign from the east, many Ukrainians are training for war for the first time in their lives. Plus, when an EF3 tornado ripped through Andover, Kansas last month, one official got to test out the new school shelter the hard way. We'll have his story. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, Ukraine is racing to train up more civilians to stop Russian advances in the east of the country. Volunteers are learning how to handle new weapons, many from the United States. Ian Lee reports from London.
These shots are just for practice, but very soon they'll be targeting Russian tanks. Rifleman Serhiy says the weapon is powerful, accurate, we can burn the enemy. Ukraine needs more troops. The defense minister wants up to 1 million. So volunteers are honing their skills, preparing to go toe-to-toe with Russian forces. Serhiy says the equipment provided helps a lot. It's cool. The whole world has united around Ukraine. The world is pouring weapons into Ukraine, from Javelin and Stinger missiles to American M777 howitzers. New troops with new weapons are creating a lethal combination. Just days ago, these citizen soldiers pushed the Russians back across the border. We will ruthlessly chase them away, he says. They should not come to our homes. While the war is far from over, Ukrainian troops say with the right tools, they can finish the job. Ian Lee, CBS News.
An advisor to Ukraine's president says the country will not accept any ceasefire until all Russian troops pull back. North Korea's fever cases have surpassed 2 million since late April. The country announced the first Omicron variant cases on May 12th. That's according to North Korea's state media, Korean Central News Agency. Death toll stands at 65. It's unclear whether the recorded deaths were caused by COVID-19. North Korea has been reporting daily new fever cases, recovery and death cases through its state media. More than 200,000 fever cases were reported this week. However, The latest confirmed COVID-19 case number announced by its health authority remains at 168 as of May 14th. Let's look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Joplin police released surveillance images of the suspect's car in a shooting that happened shortly after 6 p.m. Monday. Police say this vehicle, believed to be a black Ford Taurus SHO, was apparently driven by a person involved in a shooting at 5th and Connor in Joplin. Authorities say it has a distinctive exhaust system and wheels. The person has not yet been identified. Police say 46-year-old Kenneth Matthews of Joplin was killed in that shooting. A second victim remains in the hospital in critical condition. If you have any information about the shooting or vehicle, you were asked to contact the police. A Joplin man is sentenced for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. This past November, Jason Russell pled guilty to 1 count of participating in a conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine in Newton County. Multiple law enforcement agencies had been investigating him since 2019. Officials pulled him over on I-44 and then arrested him when they found out about 2 pounds of meth in his truck. Russell is sentenced to just over 24 years in federal prison without parole. Oklahoma's legislature has given final approval to another Texas-style anti-abortion bill. Abortion providers say once the bill is signed, it would be the most restrictive abortion ban in effect in the country. This bill would prohibit all abortions from the moment of fertilization, except to save the life of a pregnant woman, or if the pregnancy is the result of rape or incest that has been reported to law enforcement. That goes beyond a Texas law that bans abortion once a fetal heartbeat is detected, which is usually around 6 weeks of pregnancy. Missouri lawmakers give final approval designating archery as the official state sport. Archery is one of the oldest sports in the world, and here in the 4 states, some local teams have gone on to win national titles. Those locally who take pride in the sport say it's nice to be finally recognized. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Yeah, it's pretty cool when you think about the 4 states there and the fact that Sarcoxy, Missouri, recognized nationally for their archery and the success that they've had at that high school level. The temperatures right now very, very mild this early in the morning, mid to high 70s. And we're not going to jump up on the thermometer. We're not going to challenge any record highs. We'll stay in the 80s. We do have a wind advisory all the way into noon. And we have an approaching cold front, sporadic rainfall for tonight into Saturday. And slowly but surely, temperatures dropping about 10 degrees every day until we get down to the 60s on Sunday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
A Kansas public school executive got to test an elementary school storm shelter the hard way when a massive EF3 tornado ripped through Andover last month. The county's operation director had to scramble to take shelter. Hannah King says he gave the school's storm shelter a real test.
I mean, there's a reason for everything, so I don't know why I was put through it, but I was.
8th year on the job.
I came a block and a half over here to avoid it and got the direct hit.
And living a stone's throw away from Prairie Creek Elementary School, David Jackson, an Andover Public Schools employee, says he was winding down for the night. Then the storm hit. He saw the rope of the tornado forming and coming closer. Here's the video he shot. He got in his car and drove to the school.
I think when the debris started hitting me over there that I felt like this is going to end badly.
After all, he knew it had a shelter for something just like this.
It felt like a freight train ramming into the top corner of the gym on the other side, and everything moved. It rumbled. It felt like you were in an earthquake. I noticed 8 seconds into it, we all 3 did this.
He was with 2 others seeking shelter, all covering their ears, not knowing what to expect, but realizing there probably wasn't a better place for them to be at the time. Here's a look inside the shelter during the tornado.
And I am pacing and walking around in there because you can't sit still. This is going on. You hear the roof being torn off. You hear all this stuff clashing around, and and then it's when can I go out? So like I said, I waited about 40 seconds and decided, why not?
He came out and saw this.
It'll handle an EF5, and I'm kind of going, as far as we know, because I've never seen a tornado. So the actual destruction on camera looked like, to me, it lasted about 15 seconds.
The shelter's roof was partially gone, but the structure still was standing strong.
It's built to withstand a 250-mile-an-hour wind.
Jeff Hanbon is with Hutton Corporation working to repair the school, and it has but a handful of storm shelters for the district.
And it's great that the Andover School District can say they have storm shelters at all their buildings. That's a lot different than back in the day when we used to go out to the corridors and kind of duck and cover. You now have a safe place to take students and staff when that happens.
Jackson says it saved his life.
The structure did just exactly what it was supposed to do, but doesn't mean it wasn't scary being inside it. And that's just an EF3. Imagine a 4 or 5.
It's got to be a comfort to parents. Because Kansas is part of America's Tornado Alley, all Andover public schools have a designated storm shelter, and that includes maintenance shops and support buildings, as well as the school buildings themselves. We'll be right back.
High 80s and windy on our Friday, but we've got a cold front that's about to move in from the northwest. We'll break that all down when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Coming up, Freeman teaches people how to stop bleeding after an accident, as it could mean life or death.
Before the impending cold front, we not only have a little scattered thunderstorm activity, but high winds as well. Advisories in effect from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And people gather in Joplin for Third Thursday.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Getting ready for sunrise, Tanya, as we find ourselves 7 minutes away from official sunrise over Joplin. Beautiful blue skies, just a little light cloud cover hanging right there at 7th and Rangeline. Already 75 degrees. Our temperatures this morning, if you were, when we get there, you're going to be thinking, oh wait, are we going to break any records? We're not going to get that high. We'd have to get up to 92 degrees. But another key factor is that wind, 29 miles per hour with gusts up to 40 miles per hour this early in the morning. Top left-hand portion of your screen, that is the impending cold front that works its way all the way through central Kansas, up through northern Missouri and into Iowa. And it's going to drop our way. But before it does, we are still the recipients of that south wind, leading us to the warm morning temperatures and also resulting in wind advisories. So let's all keep that in mind as you travel east and west. I want to give you a national overview and an idea exactly how that cold front is splitting. I don't want to say the nation in two, but you see the definitive line right there. And it's going to continually drop to the southeast, where a lot of the nation is going to have some abnormally cool temperatures here by the time it's all said and done. But with that being said, we still have a delightful Friday as we're going to be up into the high 80s. Remember, it's just going to be windy. Then the right-hand portion of the weather trend, you see the rain begin to kick in. It's not well organized. It's certainly nothing like what we had earlier this week. But as it drops in, the temperatures also drop. And what that will result in is seasonable temperatures on Saturday. It's been a while since we've been able to say that. It seems like we've been so abnormally warm here for the past couple of weeks. Seasonable temperatures on Saturday. Cool temperatures, though, on Sundays will only be in the 60s for Sunday and Monday.
Right.
Another key factor, it's going to be wet next week.
Oh, I bet.
And how much more rain can we take? This May feels to me like last year's March.
I'd ask you to pull out the lawnmower forecast, but are we going to dry up enough today to be able to mow?
So I don't think it's,
And then when in there would we be able to do it again?
For everybody in the Hayslip neighborhood, I'm extending my apologies right now. I think it's unfair for me to pull out the lawnmower forecast when said weatherman has neglected his yard. I can't get to it, Tanya. It's underwater.
I understand. That's what I'm saying is yes, we're going to have a dry day today, but then it's going to rain a little bit, and then we have a dry day, and then it's going to rain,
It's going to rain, and then next week it's just going to rain. I know.
And eventually it's just going to grow. Because what happens to grass when it rains?
No, eventually I'm going to walk out my front door that's going to be up to here, and I'm just going to I'm going to do this in the neighborhood. I'm going to be like, hi neighbors, the house is back here somewhere.
What do you call those things that, like back in the day they used to use to like cut down wheat that have the...
A thresher?
Yeah, just go out there with the thresher.
That will be what I'll need. You'll see me out there. Yeah.
Come by my house too.
Well, that's why I will know. I never made fun of you. I just wanted to constantly check on to see what progress was being made on the yard front, and now I find myself in a similar situation.
Yeah. It's not so funny when you put yourself in the same situation.
I don't know.
You're like, I don't want to be a hypocrite.
What
I'm just not
is
going to
that?
pop up that
Something
forecast.
about a pot and a kettle and calling it black. I don't know. It's something like that.
I was trying to think of what that phrase was, and I kept saying pot. In my head, I kept thinking pot, calling the kettle green instead of black, and I don't know what green would reflect.
Well, I don't.
That's envy.
Yeah. That.
If I got my yard mowed.
There you go. Stop.
Well, I'm going to guarantee you it's not going to get done today.
I know, but like when you make me laugh like that, it's not good. We can't do that this morning. We can't do
I'm just
that.
hoping that maybe Monday's rain will come in the evening, and by Monday afternoon, it might be dry enough again.
The majority of it will be like evening and nighttime.
There you go. Make your plans now, 4 states.
It will be.
Monday's mowing day, if it doesn't rain too soon. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, Joplin police released surveillance images of the suspect's car in a shooting that happened shortly after 6 p.m. on Monday. Police say this vehicle, believed to be a black Ford Taurus SHO, was apparently driven by a person involved in a shooting at 5th and Connor in Joplin. Authorities say it has a distinctive exhaust system and wheels. The person has not yet been identified. Police say 46-year-old Kenneth Matthews of Joplin was killed in that shooting. A second victim remains in the hospital in critical condition. If you have any information about the shooting or the vehicle, you are asked to contact police. A Joplin man is sentenced for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. This past November, Jason Russell pled guilty to 1 count of participating in a conspiracy to distribute meth in Newton County. Multiple law enforcement agencies had been investigating him since 2019. Officials pulled him over on I-44 and then arrested him when they found about 2 pounds of meth in his truck. Russell is sentenced to just over 24 years in federal prison without parole. A Joplin City Council seat is not changing hands. Council candidate Brian Evans last month called for a recount after he lost his race in the April 5th election by only 13 votes to the closest winner, Josh Dieter. On Thursday, Jasper and Newton counties conducted the recount. The numbers in Newton County did not change, but in Jasper County, the recount shows Dieter won by an additional 5 votes, making his victory by a margin of 18 votes. Officials say this is the first recount in Jasper County in nearly 20 years. Oklahoma's legislature gives final approval to another Texas-style anti-abortion bill. Abortion providers say once the bill is signed, it would be the most restrictive abortion ban in effect in the country. The bill would prohibit all abortions from the moment of fertilization, except to save the life of a pregnant woman, or if the pregnancy is the result of rape or incest that has been reported to law enforcement. It goes beyond a Texas law that bans abortion once a fetal heartbeat is detected, which is usually around 6 weeks of pregnancy.
If you allow the 6 weeks, then you are condoning abortion up to that point, and science tells us that the moment of fertilization is when the DNA is created.
Because this is not theoretical anymore. This is a reality. This is real. The people of Oklahoma are going to suffer, and the blood will be on our hands.
The bill now heads to the desk of Governor Kevin Stitt, who is expected to sign it. Kansas Republican Attorney General debate kicks off on Thursday in Pittsburgh. Candidates in attendance were Chris Kobach, Kelly Warren, and Tony Mativi. The debate was open to the public. Subjects in the debate range from private property rights to guns and immigration. Well, after an accident, being able to stop a wound from bleeding could be the difference between life and death. That's exactly what instructors at Freeman Health System are teaching the public. Instructors yesterday taught people how to properly apply pressure to wounds with their hands and how to apply bandages and tourniquets.
There's opportunities that you can even save a life in your own home. Whether you realize it or not, somebody could stop, fall, and have bleeding that occurs. Whether they hit something or trip, they could cause bleeding, and you're saving a life even at home before you even know it. And so the tools are very valuable. It's a matter of you don't know when you're going to need them, and if you're prepared, you're better off than having the knowledge.
Thursday was National Stop the Bleed Day, and May is National Stop the Bleed Month. Well, folks gathered on the streets of downtown Joplin for Third Thursday, and as with every Third Thursday, there was food and activities, and for this month, Third Thursday held the Big Bike Bash. This event gave anyone the chance to show off their bikes and take part in a bike decorating contest. They also had the opportunity to participate in the Spokes Parade.
It's just a sense of community. Everybody kind of come down and to show off their business, show off what their crafts, what they make, and just really for a good event for the community to have a good time and to enjoy their company.
Third Thursday is a 3-hour event every third Thursday of the month from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Well, today, back in 1927, Charles Lindbergh takes off across the Atlantic in the spirit of St. Louis. 7:52 a.m., American aviator Charles Lindbergh takes off from Roosevelt Field on Long Island, New York, on the world's first solo nonstop flight across the Atlantic Ocean and the first ever nonstop flight between New York to Paris. Lindbergh, a young airmail pilot, was a dark horse when he entered a competition with $25,000 payoff to fly nonstop from New York to Paris. He ordered a small monoplane, configured it to his own design, and christened it the Spirit of St. Louis in tribute to his sponsor, St. Louis Chamber of Commerce. Lindbergh landed in Paris 33 and a half hours later in Paris and became the first pilot to accomplish the solo nonstop transatlantic crossing. His achievement made him an international celebrity and won widespread public acceptance of the airplane and commercial aviation.
Have you ever seen the Spirit of St. Louis?
Where's it at now?
Smithsonian. It's actually it's cool at the Smithsonian. It's actually hanging up from the ceiling.
I have seen it. I don't think it dawned on me what exactly it was.
Yeah, and then there's a replica of it at Lambert Airport.
Oh.
That hangs from the ceiling of Lambert.
Because I remember seeing Spirit of St. Louis hanging in the Smithsonian.
Yeah,
so that is the actual
one is the Smithsonian. That's the real one.
Wow.
When I was a kid, I always thought that Charles Lindbergh was from the Midwest because the name of the plane was Spirit of St. Louis. And then which became further entrenched in my brain the first time I was ever at Lambert Airport. And there's Charles Lindbergh, a replica of Charles Lindbergh's plane at Lambert Airport. And I'm like, oh, so he must be from St. Louis. Come to find out later.
That's just where the money came
from. He's from New Jersey. It was just a bunch of businessmen that bought him the plane.
Which is crazy that, he's flying from New York to Paris. You think the money would come from New York, but nope. No, it came from the Midwest.
And I believe he's actually from New Jersey. So yeah, he's from that area. No, but it was some businessmen from the St. Louis area that it's a single engine. That's the amazing thing. He won that. I can't remember the name of the prize that was on the table, but the fact that multiple people had tried it with multiple engine planes, and he wanted a single engine plane. His rationale being less chance for failure.
True.
It's crazy.
Okay.
Temperatures right now already into the 70s. It's going to be a warm day with the humidity and the wind. Not going to challenge any records, but it will feel around 89, 90 degrees. We will get some sporadic rainfall tonight, and then look at those, just take that span of 3 days right there, 87, 74, 64. That cold front that's hanging off to the northwest slowly but surely moves in, and we're all encompassed with that cold front by the time we get into Sunday afternoon.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Ireland and Guinness harp on about who has the right to use the harp as their symbol. Plus, a Filipino sailor gets a Navy ship named after him. And cancer deaths are down in Black Americans. We'll have more on this. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, the U.S. Navy is honoring the only Filipino to be awarded the Medal of Honor by naming a new warship after him. Future Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer will be named the USS Telesforo Trinidad. The ship's namesake, Fireman Second Class Telesforo de la Cruz Trinidad. Trinidad was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions on January 21st, 1915 aboard the USS San Diego. On that day, the Navy says one of the ship's boilers exploded during testing, setting off a chain reaction. Trinidad rescued one of his shipmates from the area, suffering burns in the process, and then returned to help another. 5 sailors died that day, and a total of 7 were injured in the accident. Trinidad was born in 1890 in the Philippines, and Filipinos were not allowed to enlist in the Navy until 1901. Trinidad died in 1968 at the age of 77. The Oklahoma State Legislature is sending Governor Kevin Stitt an anti-transgender bathroom bill to sign. The bill would require students at Oklahoma's public schools to use restrooms and locker rooms that match the sex listed on their birth certificates. Under the law, transgender students who decline to use the required restroom would have to use a single occupancy restroom at the school. The bill applies to all grades at public and public charter schools statewide. Schools that do not comply could lose funding and be sued by parents. ACLU criticized the measure, arguing it targets transgender children for discrimination. In March, Governor Stitt signed legislation banning transgender girls from competing on female school sports teams. That's a look at today's top national stories. We'll be right back.
If you look carefully around Dublin, Ireland, you're going to see a symbol of the harp everywhere. Not only the symbol of the country's pride, but also the symbol of the country's most famous alcohol brand, Guinness. Now there's a dispute, actually, who owns the rights to that emblem? Richard Quest tried to pull some strings to find out.
I'm not one to harp on about conflict, but in Ireland, the dispute over this musical instrument goes back hundreds of years.
The Brian Boru harp.
It's the famous Brian Boru harp, and it dates back to the 14th century. It serves as the inspiration for 2 beloved symbols of Ireland, the state emblem and the Guinness livery. Guinness claims they got to the trademark office first, registering the harp in 1876, a move which forced the Irish government to turn its official harp the other way round when the state was established half a century later. The current Taoiseach, not surprisingly, a master at political spin. I heard that Guinness trademarked the harp in a particular orientation, and now even the government has to have the other way round because Guinness has the trademark.
No, my understanding is it's the opposite way around. This government has the trademark and Guinness has to do it the other way. But it's a very good pint and it tastes very well. But if you really want an alternative, come to my city of Cork and have a pint of Murphy's.
A young woman who plays the harp, and she was kind enough to one time actually come to the hospital that I worked at and just play for hours upon end. And I had not been around a harp player before then, and I've decided that there is not a more soothing instrument on the face of the earth than listening to somebody play a harp. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles are working on a way to prevent infections for patients in hospitals and clinics without using antibiotics. They coat medical devices like stents and pacemakers with a thin layer of polymer coating called zwitterionic. The surface treatments can reduce bacteria and prevent infections. Medicinal cannabis can help cancer patients deal with pain and other symptoms. A new study published in the journal Frontiers finds the use of cannabis not only lowered pain, it also allowed almost half the patients in the study to significantly decrease their use of opioids and other pain meds. And cancer death rates among Black people in the U.S. are declining, but are still higher than people in other racial and ethnic groups. New data shows between 1999 and 2019, cancer deaths for Blacks decreased 2%. Doctors say the drop can be attributed to more screening, advances in treatments, and declines in cigarette smoking. Let's look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
7-day forecast and a weather trend that's going to lift us up into the mid to high 80s. Wind is the key factor for today as we have a wind advisory lasting all the way into the afternoon hours. Be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, Freeman teaches people how to stop bleeding after an accident, as it could mean life or death.
As the glow cloud arrives and we begin our jaunt up into the 80s, we have to fight wind today. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And folks gather in Joplin for Third Thursday.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 6:28. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go over to Michael Hayslett.
Puts us about 21 minutes past official sunrise and a gorgeous look outside of Television City as the glow cloud now has made its way over our tree line. Check out Old Glory as she's standing straight on her side, an indicator of the high south wind that we have. Joplin Regional Airport, sustained winds of 20 miles per hour, gusting up to 40 miles per hour. The cold front hanging up to the northwest right there, indicated by the color contour. And it's going to drop down upon us, but we'll get one more day of above average temperatures, and even Saturday will be seasonable temps. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit about our wind, as it's going to be very, very blustery today, to the point where we have wind advisories in effect for say about half the 4 states for those counties indicated in tan. Now remember, no matter where you are, you're still going to notice the wind, that is for sure. We also have flood warnings for the Osage and the Little Osage lasting until Saturday, a result of our rain from mainly yesterday, but really it's been all week long. Also too, up by the Emporia area, while it's not a part of our highlighted counties, up by the Emporia area, we do have a flood warning for the Neosho River as well. So that's something we'll keep our eyes on as we head into the weekend, because it usually does take 2 to 3 days to see that move its way southward down toward gauges in Erie, Oswego, Parsons, and Commerce. I had to take a second there and reel those off the top of my head. Cloud cover hanging up by that cold front. And I tell you what, the clouds are actually going to be beneficial for us today because they'll keep us from the 90-degree range. Still going to be a warm one, though, as we'll go high 80s. And speaking of rain, we'll get some sporadic activity that will begin tonight. Nothing organized and not going to be hard hitting. Now, as we get into Saturday, our tune kind of changes there for Saturday afternoon and evening, because the cold front then is pushing into portions of Arkansas. And when that happens, not only with the rain, but check out the cooler temperatures, especially those overnight lows dropping into the 40s for Saturday night and Sunday night.
All right, well.
And next week's going to be wet.
Yeah, it is. The chances of rain tonight are just scattered, the minimal that like.
I don't even know if I'd call it scattered. I'd just go sporadic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit or miss.
Let's put it this way. Don't cancel your plans. Temperatures tonight are going to be great. It's Friday night. Go enjoy yourselves.
It's National.
I feel like okay. I'm like go enjoy yourself, kids. Go.
It's National Bike to Work today. Let's say
I can't fathom that. I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Let's say you like get off in the evening or something. You'd be safe still.
Yes.
Okay.
Go Go ride your bike wherever you want.
Hey, it didn't say bicycle. I just said bike. It could be a motorcycle. You can do less energy
I
that
don't
way.
think that's what they had in mind for National Bike to Work today.
Maybe for me. I don't have a motorcycle. I wish I did, but I don't. Someday.
No, now I'm going to have Bicycle by Queen stuck in my head all morning long. Great.
All right, moving along. Joplin police released surveillance images of the suspect's car in a shooting that happened shortly after 6 p.m. on Monday. Police say this vehicle, believed to be a black Ford Taurus SHO, was apparently driven by a person involved in a shooting at 5th and Connor in Joplin. Authorities say it has a distinctive exhaust system and wheels. Person has not yet been identified. Police say 46-year-old Kenneth Matthews of Joplin was killed in that shooting. A second victim remains in the hospital in critical condition. If you have any information about the shooting or the vehicle, you are asked to contact police. Following a serious accident, being able to stop a wound from bleeding could be the difference between life and death. That's exactly what instructors at Freeman Health System taught to the public. Instructors yesterday taught people how to properly apply pressure to wounds with their hands and how to apply bandages and tourniquets.
So the things you have to understand is if you're controlling the bleeding, one thing you do by either by pressure, by packing, or by tourniquet, and that helps to allow them time to make it to emergency training or somebody that's trained that can actually help them control the bleeding in the future.
Thursday was National Stop the Bleed Day. May is National Stop the Bleed Month. Well, people gathered on the streets of downtown Joplin for Third Thursday, and as with every Third Thursday, there were food and activities. And for this month, Third Thursday held the big Bike Bash. This event gave anyone the chance to show off their bikes, take part in a bike decorating contest. They also had the opportunity to participate in the Spokes Parade.
It's just a sense of community. Everybody kind of come down and to show off their business, show off what their crafts, what they make, and just really for a good event for the community to have a good time and to enjoy their company.
There's a bike. Third Thursday is a 3-hour event every third Thursday of the month from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. We know at least there was one there. Well, President Biden hosted the leaders of Finland and Sweden for a meeting all three countries have described as historic. Topic of the agenda was both Nordic countries' applications for NATO membership, prompted by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And on Capitol Hill, the U.S. Senate has approved the House-passed Ukraine humanitarian and military assistance package. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
President Biden called it a momentous day, telling the leaders of Finland and Sweden they have the full backing of the U.S. a day after the countries applied for NATO membership.
Having 2 new NATO members in the high north will enhance the security of our alliance and deepen our security cooperation across the board.
Finland, which shares an 800-mile-long border with Russia, and Sweden have historically remained neutral. But public sentiment in the countries has changed following Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
After 200 years of military non-alignment, Sweden has chosen a new path.
Joining the defense alliance requires unanimous approval from current members, but Turkey has voiced opposition.
We are open to discussing all the concerns Turkey may have.
3 weeks after President Biden's initial request for additional defense and humanitarian aid for Ukraine, the Senate has passed a nearly $40 billion package. But 11 Republicans, including Kentucky's Rand Paul, who held up the vote for a week, opposed the measure.
There is no free lunch. $40 billion cannot be created out of thin air.
It appears more and more MAGA Republicans are on the same soft on Putin playbook that we saw used by former President Trump.
Lawmakers also welcomed the leaders of Finland and Sweden to Capitol Hill. Senate leaders say they will work swiftly in their role to assist U.S. approval of their NATO application. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
After yesterday's vote, President Biden released a statement praising the Senate for, quote, sending a clear bipartisan message to the world that the people of the United States stand together with the brave people of Ukraine. The Biden administration has announced it will send Ukraine an additional $100 million in new military assistance using the Presidential Drawdown Authority. Well, today, back in 1998, Frank Sinatra is laid to rest. Long before his stature in the world of show business earned him the nickname the chairman of the board. Frank Sinatra was simply known as The Voice during a career that saw him go from skinny teen idol to middle-aged playboy. Sinatra's personality and looks were certainly major factors in his success. They never fully overshadowed his voice, an instrument that could convey deep, very deep emotions in a sincere, understated way. May 14th, 1998, he died of a heart attack at the age of 82, with his immediate family by his side at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. 6 days later, some 400 mourners attended his private funeral at the Roman Catholic Church of the Good Shepherd in Beverly Hills, with thousands more lining the streets outside.
I remember watching the funeral. Do you have a fave? You know, whenever we do something about a band or a musician.
I know you always ask me, and I'm like, I can't narrow it down.
Do you have a fave?
You know, instead of doing that, give me like a selection of two, and this one or this one, and I'll tell you which one I like.
Okay, my two favorites, right? Witchcraft, number one. Fly Me to the Moon, number two.
Oh, Fly Me to the Moon.
Okay, my favorite is Witchcraft. Not only Sinatra songs. Witchcraft is probably in my top 10 all-time favorite songs.
Wow. I wouldn't even have thought of that one, actually, to be honest.
I don't know if I can say it on air. Yeah, I can. Came out in the mid-50s. When you arouse the need in me, my heart says yes indeed in me. Proceed with what you're putting me through.
Frank Sinatra.
It's such an ancient bitch, but one I never switch, 'cause there's no nicer witch than you.
Frank Sinatra.
Take us to break, Tim. Take us to break.
All right, that's it. In Consumer Watch this morning, Boeing's Starliner space taxi is now en route to the International Space Station after a successful launch from Cape Canaveral. The unmanned flight is a key step towards Boeing's goal of competing with SpaceX for missions bringing astronauts to and from the ISS. Starliner capsule is due to dock at the station sometime this evening. New unemployment claims have risen for 3 straight weeks, but the number of people receiving benefits is at its lowest level in over half a century. Yesterday, the Department of Labor said 1.3 million jobless claims were paid during the first week of May. That's the fewest since December of 1969. And a new survey from the Census Bureau found the agency undercounted people in 6 states and overcounted them in 8 states. Population count that comes once a decade is used for congressional redistricting and also for allocating $1.5 trillion in yearly federal funding. Bureau blamed political interference, the coronavirus pandemic, and the general trend of people not responding to surveys. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for something to talk about.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Instapoll and our KOAM News Now Facebook page, discussing where you work. Companies around the world finding themselves at somewhat of a crossroad as some have built sprawling office buildings, some of them the size of college campuses, to house employees. Then came COVID. And so with the number of people working from home, and now we find ourselves in a bit of a hybrid situation. Our question to you this morning is, where do you prefer to work? 65% of you say, no, I want to go back and want to go back to the old office, if you will. 35% say you did enjoy working from home. We've yet to have anybody chime in and say kind of that hybrid, maybe a little time at the office, maybe a little time at home, back and forth with the old Zoom meetings in effect, if you will. You can log on each and every morning and let us know. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote takes you directly to the poll. You can also connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. We'll be back with birthdays and anniversaries right after this.
We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero. Corporal Essex, who served in the European theater as part of the 89th Rolling W. One of his significant accomplishments is he helped liberate a prisoner of war camp. Corporal Essex, we thank you. Today's 4-state hero.
The birthday list begins with the smiling De Silva twins, Timberly and Willow, as they are both celebrating their 7th birthday. What a wonderful picture right there. Timberly and Willow, I want you to know birthday wishes coming with love from Mom. and I want you guys to have a marvelous birthday party in Baxter Springs.
Well, the De Silva twins are 7. Swayze Hines is also 7 strong this weekend. I hope you have a wonderful birthday.
To put that picture into perspective, folks, Swayze is actually a 6-foot-tall 7-year-old. So now you use her for scale, and that'll give you an idea how big that dog is.
Regardless, that's a huge dog.
Okay, that is not true. Swayze's not yet 6 foot tall.
No.
That would be awesomely scary. That's a cool picture, though, Swayze. I love those dogs, and I know you love your dog as well. Daxon Burns is celebrating his 9th birthday, and his birthday's coming up this weekend. And Daxon, this comes with love from Papa and Grandma Judy, as Daxon's going to turn 9 in St. Paul.
Miley Mooney is 11 years old, or will be on Sunday when she turns 11 in person.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to guess it's pronounced Michael. I think it probably is. I love the shades, man. I could rock that hat too, but I love the shades. Michael Hughes, a happy 12th birthday to you. He's in Asbury.
All right, and Wyatt Reed turning 13 years old this year. And you know, whenever Wyatt celebrates a birthday, someone else in the house is also celebrating. That would be his little sister, Maddie, who's 11 years old.
It's funny because, because right now, and Maddie and Wyatt, I'm going to give you some words of advice. Because Wyatt, you know what Wyatt says come birthday weekend. Like he's like, I'm a teenager, I'm older than you. You know how, he's like, I'm your big brother. Wait till you guys are in your 40s. But Maddie, that's going to be your time to shine. When you look at Wyatt and you go, yeah, I'm younger than you.
In the meantime, she just says, peace out, it's birthday time.
Wyatt, I'm telling you, be careful, man. Take care of your little sister, because that's going to flip as far as bragging rights on the birthday, I promise you. Cameron Stevens is 14. Cameron, a very happy birthday to you in Nevada. I'm a sucker for two-tone gloves. I always thought they were cool. I've owned my fair share, but I do like two-tone gloves. Caitlin's got a two-tone catching glove at Catcher's Mitt, and that's why I like that two-tone Cameron's got right there.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Jade Peak, turning 15 this year in Scammon. Happy birthday, Jade.
We're going to celebrate this all throughout the weekend. The actual birthday is coming up on Monday, but we're going to turn this into a weekend celebration for Spencer Bales, happens to be the leading sales associate at Dollar General. Spencer, a very happy birthday to you in Carl Junction.
All right, in Carthage, Caleb Morgan celebrating birthday number 34 this year. Hope it's a great one.
Renee Gillard celebrating a 46th birthday. That's a great picture like that. I like that. Happy birthday, Miss Renee.
And Carrie LaRue celebrating birthday number 58 this year. Hope you have a wonderful birthday, Miss LaRue, in Chanute.
Now, I've been looking forward to seeing this picture right here. All right, so Claude Weston is turning 60, and that is Claude on the left. That is not Claude on the right. I want to point that out. That is Claude celebrating on the left. The rodeo clown just photobombed him. It's perfect timing. What can you say? Claude, happy birthday wishes coming from your wife, Monet, and a happy 60th in Girard.
Just want to specify that is not his wife, Monet, on the
That is
right.
no, that is not. That is not Monet on the right.
In here. It's Claude and an unnamed rodeo clown.
Right, Claude on the left. We do not know the rodeo clown. The birthday wishes are from Monet, not pictured.
I do love the fact that he has a stick horse with him.
Monet probably took the picture, now that I think about it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I hope so. All right, moving along. Ronald Olsen is 85 years old this year. What a great picture there of Mr. Olsen in Erie, Kansas. Happy birthday to you.
I usually don't say
this.
I usually don't say this when pictures pop up or anything. Mr. Olsen does not look 85.
No, he does not.
Mr. Olsen, if I can have your youthfulness and look when I turn 85, I will be extremely happy, sir. That threw me for a loop. I'm like, no. Whatever Mr. Olsen is doing, I need to find out that secret right there. Audrey Dietz, celebrating a birthday yesterday, and Audrey is in Weir, and also one of the aunts of our own graphic artist, Will York, who puts these birthday lists together each and every day. Audrey, a very happy birthday to you.
All right, we've got Keith Romick turning another year wiser. Great picture there, Keith, in Columbus.
I know that background. Happy birthday, Keith. Justin McCready celebrating in Chanute. Oh my goodness. Look at her boots.
I know, she's so cute.
Look at her boots. Justin, I know we're celebrating your birthday, but I'm sorry. If you're going to send in a picture with the little adorable one right there, that is awesome. She is ready to ride. And a very happy birthday, Justin.
I love how he's protecting that, motorcycles can be hot.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
He's like, I'm gonna keep your legs from getting burnt there.
That's tremendous.
She says, I'm ready to ride, let's go. No, not just a picture, let's go for a ride. All right, that's a cute picture. Happy birthday, Justin. Sean and Jerica Doty are celebrating their 5th anniversary with love from the kids, Bailey, Wyatt, and Caden. They are in Stella.
Yeah, there you go. Where? Stella. Robert and Crystal Osterreich, they're also celebrating their 5th anniversary. And Robert, thank you for your service. Number one, congratulations on your anniversary, but also too, thank you for your service, sir, as Robert happens to be one of our 4 state heroes. And the Osterreichs, they are celebrating in Parsons.
All right, and we've got Ryan and Amy Dooley celebrating their 6th anniversary this year. Looks like they've got their hands full as well in Columbus.
You know, it's one of those things. I was waiting for this to happen because I knew when May hit that the anniversary list would become extensive. Sometimes we have those days where, we have an anniversary or 2, but now that we're in May, this is awesome because we've got Mark and Carla Howerton that are celebrating their 12th anniversary. And congratulations to the Howertons. They are in Carthage.
All right, and we've got Chad and Sharon Bartley celebrating their 22nd anniversary.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It looks like that's
Right.
how they're signing their wedding, their nuptials. They're not doing some weird dance. He's actually signing some document on his back.
Whatever. The Bartleys look like somebody that I would have a great time partying with.
Yes.
I love it.
That's a fun picture.
That was great. And Randy and Patricia Smith, they are celebrating their 24th anniversary. Congratulations to Randy and Patricia. Happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. Here's Tanya Bach with a very... Oh, no! Wait, my bad.
We got another page, Michael.
Turn the page, Michael.
We got another page.
Mornings, folks. Don Lee Tidd Jr. Is celebrating his 39th birthday. Don Lee Tidd. I think I'll just go by the DLTJ.
DLTJ.
To be honest with you, the DLTJ
I like it.
is easier to pronounce for me. A happy 39th in Iola. Lakea Groves. I want you to have a marvelous birthday weekend as well. Angela Pierce is celebrating a birthday. Angela, very happy birthday to you. And I have a friend by the name of Annalise. I do not know Annalise Van Hoos. I'm wishing you a very happy birthday, but I absolutely love the name Annalise. So Annalise, I want you to have a marvelous birthday as well. A happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. Now, here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right, you can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up, and once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Highs in the 80s today, a good south wind. We have a wind advisory lasting until the afternoon hours. Cold front sitting up there to the northwest, and it's going to be a slow mover, drop us into seasonable temps after tonight into Saturday, and then cool, if not chilly, overnights dropping into the 40s when it actually overtakes us for Sunday and Monday.
Right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making crispy avocado wedges in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Morning news coming up next on CBS Mornings, where Oklahoma's state legislator passes an anti-abortion law that would be the most restrictive law in the nation. They're going to dive into that. I want everybody to enjoy some fresh air, fight the wind, be safe. We'll do this all again on Monday morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.